My father kicked me out, but in the end, I got the last laugh. My father was never a good man. Never a good father. My earliest memories are filled with his anger, his jealousy, his bitterness. Even when I was a child, he tried to turn me against my mother simply because he hated how close we were. When he found out I was gay, everything got worse. The beatings, the insults, the constant attempts to destroy whatever little confidence I had left. So in my early 20s, I escaped. I ran. And for the first time in my life, I breathed. I built myself up, piece by piece. I went to university, I became a teacher, I got my own place, filled it with furniture I bought slowly over time. I finally felt safe. I finally felt like a person. Meanwhile, my father sold everything he had and started living out of hotels, drifting from place to place, wasting what little he had left. I only heard about him through my sister, and that was more than enough. Then the pandemic hit, and everything fell apart. I lost my job. I couldn't pay rent. I was evicted. My father, on the other hand, was forced to rent a house, but he had no furniture, no appliances, nothing but an air mattress on the floor. And so, out of pure necessity, I did something I swore I would never do. I reached out to him. I proposed a deal. I had furniture and appliances but nowhere to live. He had a house but nothing inside it. I told him, let me live with you rent-free, and you can use my furniture, my fridge, my beds, my appliances. I wouldn't be a financial burden. My emergency aid could cover my own costs. He agreed. And that decision cost me more than I ever expected. Living with him during the pandemic was hell. He was anti-vax, anti-science, and a walking hazard. No masks. No distancing. Barely even showering. I'm asthmatic, and he threatened to expose me to COVID just to prove a point. He treated me like a prisoner. I had 2 hours a day outside my room, usually just to cook. He wouldn't even let me use the bathroom. His reason? I don't want you to contaminate it with AIDS. I'm not HIV positive. I'm just gay. When the emergency aid ended, I lived off small gigs. I applied for food stamps. My disabled mother, who had escaped with me years ago, even tried looking for work. Jobs were impossible to find in that small town, but we kept surviving. The living arrangements kept changing. He fought with our landlord, and we had to move again. And yes, I still had to use a bucket. Eventually, I got a stable income. Minimum wage, but enough to start dreaming of escape. I wanted to leave. My mother begged me to stay. He's old. He helped us during the pandemic. We owe him. She's always been too soft. So I stayed. But I made a deal. We split expenses equally. That way, he couldn't treat me like garbage anymore. He couldn't scream at me, threaten me, or deny me basic human rights. He reluctantly agreed. And then, it happened. One afternoon, the toilet flush broke. The landlord had made it clear, call him if anything breaks. But my dad, drunk since morning, insisted he could fix it himself. After hours of messing it up even more, he finally called the landlord. When the landlord and his handyman arrived, my dad exploded. He was sloppy drunk, screaming, trying to pick a fight. I held him back because we couldn't lose this apartment. He took my restraint as disrespect. And right there, in front of my mother, the landlord, and the handyman, he told me to get out of his house. He ranted about authority, about disrespect, even tried to slap me. But I didn't cower. I didn't beg. I looked him straight in the eye and said, I'll be out of your house by the end of the week. Then I turned to the landlord and said, I can pay this amount per month. Do you have something in my price range? The landlord, who looked horrified by everything he had witnessed, nodded and offered me a place. I hadn't even seen it. I said, I'll take it. The next days were glorious. As I packed my things, disassembling furniture, boxing appliances, my father realized the gravity of what he'd done. What are you doing? Packing my things. But I need that stuff. That's not my problem. First, he tried to be sweet. I forgive you. You don't have to leave. I told him, "Oh, I'm leaving." Then he tried claiming everything was his. He even called the police and accused me of theft. But he forgot one thing. I keep every receipt. Everything was legally mine. My mother backed me up. The police left unimpressed. Then he resorted to the family pity tour, calling every relative to say I abandoned him. I simply answered them all with, "He kicked me out. I'm doing what he asked." By the end of the week, I took everything. The fridge, the stove, the beds, the furniture. Half of it didn't fit in my new studio apartment, but I took it anyway. I sold what I didn't keep. He went back to sleeping on an air mattress. Alone. No comfort. No support. No son to take advantage of. And I'd love to say I feel nothing. But the truth? It brings me satisfaction. After decades of abuse, after everything he put me through, seeing him face the consequences of his own cruelty feels like justice. It's been 6 months since I went no contact. I don't know how he is, but I heard he picked a fight with the landlord's son-in-law and is close to being evicted again. Maybe karma has finally caught up. Maybe this time he really will end up on the street. As for me, I'm 31. My mother and I are safe. Healing. Living peacefully. Living freely. Living beautifully. And every day I wake up grateful that I walked away. Grateful that I didn't break. Grateful that I finally have a life that is mine. Thank you for listening to my story. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to follow and subscribe for more.